I'm taking on a huge challenge. Going to be beating every N64 game ever released. No guides, no help, all done on the original N64 console just like it was back in the day. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly generated, so I have no idea what's coming next. Last week, there was a tonic that caused a bit of trouble, and this week, we're going to be playing some hockey. Hey, welcome back to another episode of beating every N64 game. If you do enjoy these videos, please consider giving it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And if you want to catch more of these, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Game number 6, NHL Breakaway 98, released in 1997, developed by Iguana Entertainment and published by Acclaim Sports. So yeah, this is the first sports game we've run into, and well, there's a lot of them on the N64. I'll try to make the videos for them as entertaining as possible because, well, the sports games are part of this journey too. So this game is my least favorite of the mainstream sports, hockey. Look, I'm just not that into it. I actually played a lot of sports games growing up, but it was all American football, basketball, or baseball. Honestly, I don't even know the rules of hockey that well, but I was going to learn a thing or two in this playthrough. So you might be thinking to yourself, hey, wait a second, how do you actually beat a sports game? And that's a good question. So for most of these games, it'll be pretty obvious how to beat it, but some others won't have a clear-cut single-player story mode to complete. For sports games in particular, I've decided the best way to approach them is to win the main championship of the sport in whatever way I can. In hockey, that happens to be the Stanley Cup finals. Luckily for us, this game has a playoffs mode where I can skip all the regular season and just play the playoffs alone. So the first step in this game is to choose my team. I don't know professional hockey at all, so I didn't know who any of these teams were. Also, keep in mind this is based on the 1998 NHL season, so you gotta remember who was good or bad back then. I find it really weird that there's a hockey team in Florida. Like, it's not cold enough there in the winter to have snow, so who's playing ice hockey there? Anyway, I just decided to try to look at their stats and pick whoever had the best ones. I ended up picking the New Jersey Devils as their stats were incredibly high in everything, although their scoring wasn't too hot. So in this series, we're going with the default difficulty on everything. The playoffs consist of 4 rounds with best of 7 sets in each, and 3 periods of 10 minutes in each game. For the first match, I was up against the Montreal Canadiens. So before the first game starts, it plays the US national anthem. It might seem weird to some of y'all outside of the US, but yeah, they do this before basically any pro sports game here. I got tired of hearing it, and thankfully you can skip it. So the first game started and I had no clue what I was doing. Almost immediately, viewers complained that I was clearly offsides, but I didn't even know what that meant. Apparently it's a penalty in hockey and the game has it turned off by default. Things were going slowly as I struggled to learn the controls, and no team had scored after 7 minutes of play. But then the best thing in hockey happened. 2 of the players got into a fight. This is just such a weird thing to me, but it's kind of normal and accepted for players to just fist fight each other during a hockey match. Unfortunately for me, I had no idea what I was doing and I got my butt kicked, and the other guy's like flexing as I'm on the ground whimpering like a baby. How do I fight? I'm kidding. Oh my god, he uppercutted me. Anyway, the first period was uneventful with the score tied 0-0. Coming into the second period, I started getting a bit more of an idea how to play. You can do a harder shot, or I think it's called a slap shot, by holding the B button. This seemed better to try to score with. And basically, anytime someone on the other team has the puck, you want to check them, or basically just ram them into the ground. Apparently that's also just a normal thing to do in hockey. But even then, at the end of the second period, the score was still 0-0. And then again, at the end of the third period, still 0-0. Like, this is just a typical hockey score. I don't get into these low scoring sports. Anyway, since this is the playoffs, there's no shootout or anything like that. You just keep playing additional periods until someone scores. But after the first overtime, still no one had scored. So we went to a second one. And no one scored in that one either. Or the third, or the fourth. And during the fourth overtime, I actually learned there was a kid named Chandler who had gotten himself lost at the hockey arena.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lost child named Chandler at the concession stand. If you are Chandler's parent or guardian, please report to the concession stand by the south entrance.
Getting Chandler home safe by winning the Stanley Cup was my main motivation for beating this game. The game apparently didn't expect anyone to make it past 4 overtimes because the scoreboard still listed it as the 4th overtime, but of course my game lasted longer than that. 5th overtime, still no scoring. And at this point, I just wanted anyone to score so that I didn't care if I lost, I just want the game to be over. No score after the 6th overtime, then finally, a minute into the 7th overtime, the other team scored, freeing me from this nightmare. They scored! Oh my god, it's possible! After a match that lasted basically an hour long, I knew I had to change something to make this challenge feasible. So I decided that while the difficulty has to remain on the default, which I did leave it there for this game on normal, I don't necessarily need to keep all the settings on the default. This might lead to a gray area for certain games, but I'll try to make sure I've always at least played the game and feel like I've actually finished it. Also, since there's so many sports titles with many of them repeating the same sports, I'm also able to simulate matches to achieve the championship faster if the game allows this feature. So with this game I changed the settings to have 5-minute periods, which was the minimum, and to be able to simulate matches as long as I manually won at least one match in each playoff series. So after realizing I was getting nowhere with the Devils' low scoring, I decided to restart and find a team with a higher scoring stat. Ultimately, I decided on the Philadelphia Flyers. They had the best combination of high scoring and good other stats. My first series was against the Pittsburgh Penguins. This decision to be Philly seemed like a good one, as I finally scored my first ever goal about 2 minutes into the first period.
Goal scored by number 17.
Let's go! Let's go! Philadelphia! Let's go! I was absolutely stoked. Finally, I felt like I might be able to escape this game. But I wasn't done there. With this amazingly skillful backwards flip shot drop McGraw, that's totally a real thing, I got my second goal a minute into the third period.
Goal scored by number 17.
Let's go! I was on top of the world. I figured with a 2-goal lead there was no chance of the other team catching up, and I was right. I finished the first game with a 2-0 win. The crowd was going absolutely nuts and I felt great after finally something good happened. But deep down, I knew this was about more than just winning some hockey matches. I needed to rescue Chandler. So with a match won in this series, I went on to simulate the rest of the series, and with Philly winning the next 3 matches 2-1, 2-1, and 5-4, I made it to the second round. In the next round, we're going up against the Florida Panthers. And I want to reiterate, I still think it's really weird that there's 2 hockey teams in Florida. Like, who's playing hockey down there? The match with Florida got off to a rocky start with a fight breaking out early on in the first period. But once again, I could not figure out how to get the fighting to work properly, and I got annihilated again. There's not really any kind of penalty for losing a fight, so it doesn't matter. I guess you just feel bad about yourself. With the score all tied at 0-0 at the end of the first period, I started to think maybe that last match was a fluke and it was about to go right back into the no-scoring nightmare. And again, still no goals at the end of the second period, and with the third period ending the exact same way, all I thought was, here we go again. The first overtime ended, still no scoring. Nothing was happening in the second overtime, but with just 48 seconds left to go, I was able to check a defender leaving the goal fairly open and scored a totally skillful planned goal. Get wrecked. Oh, let's go! Let's go! Let's go! No matter how lucky it was, it didn't matter. I won. I knew that Chandler was counting on me, and I did not want to let him down. So we won the first match, simulated the rest of the series. Philly wins 6-0, 1-0, and 2-1. Now we were moving into the semifinals, and we were up against the team I initially played as, the New Jersey Devils. This would be an interesting match, because while my team's scoring is high, their defense is even higher. Despite their heavy defense, their goalie was no match for me, as I somehow made him fall down, which made scoring the goal literally free. Let's go! Yes! Their goalie fell! Let's go! Yes! I was feeling unstoppable at this point. No one could score on me, and I was able to score pretty well. It got kinda scary at the end of the second period as they clearly shot the puck into my goal, but I guess if it goes in after the buzzer, it doesn't count. With around a minute to go in the third period, I sealed the deal with a goal from a tech I believe is called a one-timer.
Goal scored by number 15.
I don't even know what I did, but heck yeah. Basically, you pass the puck to a teammate and they immediately shoot. And with that, the game had ended 2-0 and I beat the best defensive team there was. Going on to simulating the rest of the series, the results were great. 3-2, 1-0, 2-3 with me losing, 0-4 with me losing, and 5-4 to finish off the series. Having 2 losses in the simulation, it hurt pretty bad, but I knew I could do it. I was here, the Stanley Cup Finals, and the team standing in my way, the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know anything about this team other than Slade, who's another fantastic content creator. He loves them. This was it. If I could win this final series, Chandler would be safe once and for all. The series started off innocent enough until a fight broke out around 3 minutes into the first period. This time the other guy put me in a headlock, but I managed to actually land some hits on him. Ultimately it was broken up. I guess we were taking too long. With the first period ending, the score was still tied at 0-0, and the second period as well, still no scored goals. It was getting tense, and then, you guessed it, the score still tied 0-0 at the end of the third period. Can you tell why I don't like hockey that much? But then 2 minutes into overtime, my team was able to pull off another miracle. We landed a goal with some amazing teamwork. Yes! Let's go! Yes! So with that win, simulation begins. I won the first 5-1. The second, I lost 5-1. Then I lost 5-1 again. It was pretty tense at this point. But then we won the next game 6-3. So it didn't feel quite right to simulate the actual final game, since there might be a special cutscene or something like that. So I decided to manually win the final match. I was a little nervous that I might choke it away, but immediately I scored a goal without even trying. I think the game just handed me that one for free. I don't know what it was, but nothing could stop me from saving Chandler at this point. The first period didn't really have any more action after that quick start. The second period as well, no action. And then just before the game ended, I decided to rub it in a bit with a final goal to have the score be 2-0. Finally, I won the Stanley Cup Finals and finished this game. But most importantly, Chandler was safe at home with his family. My players were thrilled. Somehow my guy was holding the trophy in like this impossible way and it just teleported into his hand. I don't know, it was really weird. So there you have it. That's my journey to beating NHL Breakaway 98, the first of many sports games on the N64, so strap in. Honestly, this game was kind of mediocre. Along with the fact that I just don't really like hockey, it wasn't very fun either. I give it like a 4 out of 10 for enjoyability and 3 out of 10 for difficulty. It wasn't really that hard though. So yeah, hopefully this wasn't too confusing, as there's technically no way to beat most sports games, but do let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It does help me out a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you catch all the future videos. But yeah. Thanks for watching, and here's a sneak peek at what's coming next. What will we get? What will we get? What will we get? 253, which is... Oh my god! Alright. Looks like, looks like we're playing Superman next.